When your old career gives you lemons, throw in some ice, mix in some vodka, and call it a podcast. From the Mac of All Trades studio in Fairport, and driven by Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Thanks for getting your pot on. Thanks for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. The pirate ship. Thanks for sponsoring those that sponsor us. Boy, a lot of stuff happening in the world, and one of the things that's getting a lot of attention, and I actually heard somebody say it's a distraction. They don't want you to pay attention to the election, because there's always that, is the whole Diddy situation. And I was looking for someone who could talk about this, and this guy, you've probably seen him. He's been on every possible news channel. I saw him on CBS New York and all over the place. Well, what is? Do you know what racketeering is? No, I'm not sure people do. Do you know what a RICO charge is? Well, a guy who does know all that is Defense Attorney Eric Faddis, and he's very familiar with what's happening with Sean Diddy Combs. Hello, Eric. How are you?
Good to be with you, Bill.
Well, it's good to have you here. So let me start there, Eric, because I don't think a lot of people understand when we hear these things, and I've been told by people who have gone to law school that your first year of law school is like learning an entire new language. Would that be true?
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
There's nomenclature and all sorts of jargon, and so I've got about a quarter of that up here still.
Yeah, and I also want to say you're a defense attorney. And I always think, like, I'm friends with a couple of defense attorneys, and I always think, like, people will say, well, how can you defend those guys? And I think I want a defense attorney. And the reason I want defense attorneys around is they protect the rights and freedoms. Once that starts getting trampled and there's no one there to call, hey, inside the lines or outside the lines, we wind up blurring the lines, and nobody wants that. That's not good for anybody. So even in this case, when we see P. Diddy and we hear the horrific things, and there's the court of popular opinion, and we all can kind of have that knee-jerk reaction, and rightfully so, I think that we need to kind of back up and realize you need to have somebody there to call balls and strikes on the defense side. I think that's only fair.
Yeah, no question, Bill. I mean, look, these allegations are alarming and they need to be taken seriously.
Sure.
But on the flip side, he is presumed innocent. These are accusations at this point. And I always tell folks, like, my primary client is the Constitution and ensuring that the rights in there are protected for anyone accused of a crime.
Right. Rights and freedoms. So let's go, because he's charged with sex trafficking and racketeering. Can you explain what racketeering is in kind of the simplest way possible for dumb people like me?
Totally. So racketeering, there's this law called RICO, and it's a federal law. It was essentially implemented to target criminal organizations, organized crime, mafia type, stuff like that. And essentially what it entails is a pattern of illegal activities taken in furtherance of a criminal enterprise. So we're talking multiple people involved and in furtherance of the objectives of that criminal enterprise. And it's a way the government really can loop in a lot of peripheral actors, affiliates, and other folks who may have been participating in some form or fashion in the direct allegations.
Okay, so the other dominoes will fall. So if I'm an associate of Diddy's, forgive my French, but I'm shitting my pants right now.
Yeah, I think they're, cleanup on aisle 7 would be appropriate for those folks because they are in the target zone, no question.
Can you also explain what, I guess, the legal definition of sex trafficking? Because before you, I had a video chat with my mother. I know, sounds strange. But my mom said to me her friend was very happy that Diddy was getting in trouble because she's so tired of hearing the sex trafficking. And I said, you know what? I'm not exactly sure, and I know this sounds, what sex trafficking is. Yes, underage girls being forced to sex traffic, but we had a bust in the town I'm in years ago that there were some people who were brought over to the country. They worked for a nail salon that was also doing hand jobs on the side, but not the nail hand jobs, and they got busted. And I think that part of that was sex trafficking, in that they were working off their debt for being brought to this country. That would be sex trafficking. But what's happening, is sex trafficking prostitution? If I willingly go into that, that's not. That would be almost a transaction between two consenting adults, even though it's illegal in certain parts of the country.
Yeah, I feel you, Bill. I think sex trafficking requires a little more than just sort of organized prostitution. Usually what it entails is folks luring in people of vulnerable populations, young women who might not have the resources, and then essentially pressuring them or coercing them through fraud or deception or even force to engage in an sort of a larger operation of sex trafficking. It's usually not limited to one instance. It's multiple allegations over time.
Okay. So now Diddy's accused of sex trafficking, but then we also had the raids of his house. You had AR-15s, assault rifles found with the serial numbers scratched off, video evidence of some of the things that we know went on. I don't know why. It's the same thing I tell my 14-year-old kid. You don't need to video everything because it will come back to bite you. And on the other side, then, of course, the salacious thing would be the 1,000 bottles of baby oil, which I don't know whose job that was to buy, but the only thing I can think is you probably should have done that during the pandemic because no one would have thought anything of it. Everybody was inside. They would have. But if you're going in, how do you buy thousands of bottles of baby oil? I don't know unless you put down. But as an organization, this guy could go away himself for decades.
Oh, without question. The sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, the second charge in the indictment is extremely serious, carries potentially decades in prison. You have the RICO charge on top of that, which can, help multiply the potential sentence. And then the transporting someone across state lines for sexual purposes is the third charge. All of these things are very grave and, very high stakes in terms of criminal litigation.
So he would have these parties that in some of the stuff you read, and I don't know how old you are. You look like you're a fairly young guy. But back when I was a young guy, there was the Inquirer. And we would make fun of the Inquirer, and you'd read it in the shopping as you were checking out of the grocery store. But they busted a lot of stories first. They broke a lot of stories. I think you could go back to politicians with affairs and different things. TMZ, to me, has become an amazing source on this sort of thing. And they seem to be, I think something just came across just a few minutes ago with TMZ about this Diddy case and what's happening there. Do we know? I think they were talking about other associates. Have you heard of others already being, I don't know, arrested, brought up on charges, something, other dominoes starting to fall?
Bill, I haven't heard of any folks specifically being identified, which is a little uncommon. Usually in a RICO case, when they do the takedown, they do the arrest, they got the kingpin who they identify, and then there's the underlings, the affiliates, the associates. Those folks are usually roped in from the outset with criminal charges. Here, the prosecution has not done that. And I think it's kind of a form of strategy, but an uncommon one in a typical RICO case. I haven't heard of any folks being identified yet. There was allegedly a high-level record executive that was associated with Diddy that resigned this week. And so there are rumors speculating as to if there is any connection there at all. But no one has been specifically disclosed by the government yet.
Now, he's being held without bail, right? No option for bail. I think there was, correct. He tried to get bail, and I thought there was something like, twice. I won't hang out with women or something. That's his thing. Okay. But he ran to, and I'm going to forget, it wasn't the Bahamas, but what was it, like Bahama Light? I know that's not it, but it was some private island. Can we extradite people from other places like that? Or are there laws on the local land that would prevent someone? So I bring that up because let's say I am the record executive and I go, oh, shit, I knew I shouldn't have gone to that party, or I knew I shouldn't have done that. If he takes off, is there any way to bring that person back or no at this point?
It's a solid point, Bill. So, there are certain countries with which the U.S. is more friendly and extradition is easier. They're more cooperative. And there are certain countries where that's not. Right. And so surely there's a risk that these affiliates could get down and leave the country and, never to be found again. There are measures that the government can take to try to get them back, but they're not always effective.
Yeah, it's weird. Why did Diddy come? Not that you would necessarily know this, but were you surprised that he came back after he took off that first time? And then there were the raids. What brought him? I don't understand that. Or is it just hubris? You think you're really, truly above all of it?
I'm wondering if that's playing a role here when you listen to his attorneys. So initially they were saying, hey, Diddy did none of this and there is no evidence and he is 100% innocent. And then the Cassie video comes out and then they start to kind of backpedal and they say, oh, well, that happened. Yeah, but the other stuff, he definitely didn't do that. I think they've been a little bit too, overstating their case, a little overconfident. Maybe part of that is coming from their client who thinks that, hey, I'm untouchable. I'm right. Teflon Don type and this isn't going to come down on me. But here we are this week and he's behind bars.
Yeah. Any chance that he would get bail at all, in your opinion? I mean, I know trying twice, I would assume the answer is no, but would there be any case, or what would you do as his defense attorney to try to get that?
I think the defense attorneys did a reasonably good job at presenting their bail package. Yeah. It was, they offered $50 million. I think they were using property as collateral. They offered that he wouldn't talk with he wouldn't associate with women and that kind of thing. What more can you do? They also got a former jail director or something like that to say, hey, Diddy's life is probably in danger while he's incarcerated. That's as much as you can really give to a court. I'm not sure what else they could do, but due to the gravity of the charges and some of the allegations of witness tampering, the judge said, no go, you're staying locked up until this thing is over.
Wow. Have you read the entire case? I assume these are pages upon pages upon pages of stuff. And some of the accusations, you try to keep the victims' names out of things. Obviously, Cassie has come out, and she was one of the first ones to bring charges, and I think there have been more since then. But are there any men? There's been a lot of alleged, and no one's stepping up and saying anything, but alleged that, hey, Diddy hit on me. I mean, 50 Cent has not been silent about all this stuff, saying, an awful lot of things. And then there was even this uncomfortable thing where you saw video in the past of Justin Bieber when he was very young at this party, and then you listen lyrics that come out in songs. So I'm just wondering, have you seen, are there men accusing him of sexual assault or sex trafficking them?
So here's what I've seen. At least as far as the criminal goes, it's unclear whether they've identified any male victims. Okay. But in terms of the civil allegations, there have been multiple male victims allegedly come forward claiming that there was sexual impropriety involving them. They're above and beyond that. There are rumors within the hip hop industry that this kind of thing has been going on, and it's involved men and sex acts and everything else. And so is that a piece of the entire Diddy saga? I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird because you heard all these rumors about the entertainment industry, whether it be film, music, or whatever, for years. And it was always sort of, I guess, rumors, and no one could really say unless they were involved. And you had people who were emphatically, no, you have no idea what goes on. And then something like this, it's pretty eye-opening for people because I go, wow, how freaky do you get? Even to call it a freak off. And then how do you find the people that go, all right, your job is to buy all this stuff and then clean it all up after a couple of days? I mean, I go, boy, tell you.
I think for the longest time, there were many folks who had an allegiance to Diddy. He had a lot of power in the hip hop industry, and so folks were not talking on that basis. In certain communities, it's just frowned upon to provide information to the government and stuff like this. So I think that was protecting him for a long time. But I think we were going to begin to see the cards fall, and folks coming out of the woodwork, becoming government witnesses in part to protect themselves from their own potential criminal liability.
Yeah, when you hear things like racketeering and RICO charge, and as you said, that's usually associated with the mafia or the mob, you would think in some way he's got to have a big reach, and that there's somebody somewhere that you would be very afraid of to say anything. That's why, it's very easy when we see, and take it to anybody, domestic abuse happen, people always go, well, why does someone stay? And Cassie was there for a long time, and you see this, and I go, I think that it would be almost impossible to leave in a way that because of these threats and because of this reach. And to your point, I mean, the government, to go into almost, would they put people in witness protection for a case like this?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Really?
that's certainly on the table, I think. And, when you look at the sort of breadth of the allegations, we're talking some scary stuff. Not only sexual assault, physical assault, obviously, but kidnapping, arson. We're talking about bribery. We're talking about cover-ups. And so it appears, at least according to the government, that this is a wide-ranging criminal operation that certainly had some power to make folks do what they wanted them to do.
Man.
Or not do.
What do we see? What happens next in the case?
Yeah. So next, certainly from the government's perspective, there was a press conference where the federal prosecutor essentially said, hey, Diddy did not do this alone, and we are not done with these charges. I think they're telegraphing to potential affiliates and participants that, hey, you've got a short window during which you need to come forward and give us some information.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, you're going to be next on this.
Right. Gotcha. So that's almost, okay. So telegraphing in a way that you become you become the proverbial snitch.
That's right. And what the government does is they will oftentimes afford immunity to those folks. They'll say, hey, you were engaged in some dastardly stuff here, but if you come and help us put Diddy behind bars forever, we're going to make it so that you not only don't go to jail, but are potentially protected afterwards through something like the Witness Protection Program.
I heard that snitches get stitches, but I don't know anything about that. Wow. Very interesting and great analysis on all of it. Eric Faddis, thank you very much. Eric, where will we see you pop up next?
Gosh, I did film for Dr. Phil recently. I was on his show. That should be coming up soon. We are in talks about a potential reality show. And then beyond that, I'll be on Court TV at 1 p.m., man. 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay,
1 p.m. Mountain Time. So that would be 3 p.m. our time. All right, well, we'll be looking for you. Eric Faddis, thank you for your time. A great insight on the Diddy case, and thank you for explaining it kind of for dummies.
Till next time, Bill.
All right, thanks so much. There he goes, Eric Faddis. All right, we will take a moment and be right back. Trotta, the restaurant, The Armory, has a huge screen to watch the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. Look, we all like to snack when we drink, and I got to tell you, if you're looking for quality bar food, Trotta has it. Wings are brined in-house, served with signature sauce and creamy blue cheese. The buttermilk chicken fingers are fresh, never frozen, and gluten-free. I honestly never would have known. And don't sleep on the carnitas nachos or the duck quesadilla. Do yourself a favor, come with a group so you can try a little bit of everything and enjoy the game on a giant screen right there at Trotta, the restaurant at The Armory. Are you familiar with Circulaw? At Circulaw, their foundation lies in the belief that everyone deserves a fair defense, which is very important to our legal process. Steve Circu and his team tirelessly strive to ensure that their clients' rights are protected and they leave no stone unturned in building a robust case. Whether you or a loved one is facing a DWI or possibly accused of a crime you didn't knowingly commit, Circulaw will defend your rights and personal freedoms. Look, they've litigated criminal cases of every scenario. Simple misdemeanors, they've handled it. Serious felony offenses, handle that as well. And at Circulaw, they believe preparation is key and make sure to thoroughly prepare for every possible scenario. So again, if you've been charged with a crime and need a defense attorney with integrity and experience both in and out of the courtroom, there is none better than Steve Circu and the team at Circulaw. Tell them Billified told you to call 585-385-2510, or you can email their secure contact page at circulaw.com. Make sure your rights are protected with Circulaw. Leo's knows you got the back-to-school rush. They have everything you need for back-to-school lunches and snacks, including quick meals like Leo's delicious tomato pie, served hot or cold, made fresh daily at Leo's in their own pizza oven, and topped with tomatoes and cheese. Plus all the boar's head meats and cheeses in Leo's Deli. And don't forget about the desserts, cookies, pastries, cannolis, cakes, pies, and so much more for your sweet tooth. Give it a treat. Give yourself a treat. You got the kids back to school. What's the best thing about Leo's? Everything on Dispatch Drive in East Rochester, open every day. Tell them Billified sent you. We're dropping this on a Monday. Maybe you need a new drug to get through a Monday. I don't know. You know, everything starts with an idea, even if it's Diddy and the freak-off parties that he had, and you heard Eric Faddis talking about that. But I thought it'd be fun to go back and talk to guys. It started with an idea. If you go back to episode 266, it's Charlie Fitzsimmons, fun equals success, and that's really what Charlie was all about. And I thought I would give you a little bit of that, maybe some Monday motivation from episode 266, where you can hear the rest of this conversation. Here's some of Charlie Fitzsimmons, the owner of Trotta, JoJo, and Black and Blue, telling you about fun equaling success. This guy, Charlie Fitzsimmons, I met Charlie. Okay, so that was you. You know what's so weird is, so I forget who I was telling the story to. It was Uncle Raj, who it was the 20th anniversary yesterday of his murder, which I have an unpopular opinion on sometimes.
Oh, how so? You're for it?
No, but I'll say this because we're 20 years past. Yeah. I think at this point I'm okay.
Right.
So years ago, I would drive Raj to meetings when Stanley was the program director, and we were all there, and we would meet at Stan's house on Harvard Street. Raj would ask me to pick him up, and we'd go over and do this. And there was a time in the studio that he had left his sweatshirt like on the chair, and he was out doing production, and I moved it, and his gun fell out.
Oh.
And it was just in like a zip-up sweatshirt, not in a holster or anything, just in the side pocket of this thing. Yeah. Just fell out. I fucking almost shit my pants. I don't know. I'm picking the thing up like
it's so heavy.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. So I said to him, hey, I'm really sorry. Your gun fell out. I didn't know what to do. So I'm basing it on this.
Yeah.
They've never been able to find anybody.
Right.
Nobody really knows what happened. He did own property and he was collecting rent.
Yeah.
But is it possible that the gun went off and hit him in the abdomen?
Oh.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't.
Not on purpose, but a pure accident. Could something have happened? Could he have been startled where he had the gun, he reached for it to do something? And I only say that because, and it sounds terrible, and you're blaming the victim kind of thing that people always say with this, but there wasn't any secure way. It was just only from my own experience. It's just you had a zip
in a backpack.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was in the side pocket. And if that's where you kept it, right? And he was shot in the abdomen. Is it possible that you reached inside to get it and accidentally it went off?
Yeah.
And no one really could tell.
Who would want to shoot that guy?
He was the nicest, sweetest guy.
He was the nicest, sweetest guy. He bailed me out.
He bailed you, really?
Well, just with the morning show, because I had to get up, and he'd turn over the mic to the Wii show, and I was the producer at that time, and I was 23, 24. So getting up at that hour was, that was half the challenge. So I'd come in on two wheels sometimes and late, 6:05, 6:10 or something. Yeah. And he'd be giggling. And he's just so sweet. I got you. Go do your thing. And then I'd come in. He'd put on Freebird, a real long song. And then I'd come in and where are my notes?
That's so he was
20 years.
Yeah, it was 20 years that he died, and it was so he would sing to Panama's. He'd sing Maranimal, and then I asked you if you'd do it. And it was him. It was his thing, and then you produced that thing, and then I used to use it all the time.
That was a good one.
But what I find most fascinating with you is you have the Midas touch. It's like now I know that I'm looking from the outside and we see all this stuff. But I knew you through radio. You had produced the Brother Weed show. Super talented, very creative. You went and started doing the production, and they really wanted you to stay. And it was around that time that you left, and no one really knew what's Charlie going to do. And there was talk of he's going to open a restaurant bar. And I don't know what your brother Phil did, but what I remember was he's from L.A. or went to L.A. He was a corporate guy. He's coming back. Yep. They're going to do this thing. They're going to open up. And it was a long time It seemed like a long time. And I only say that because our mutual friend, Tommy Brunett, used to look for restaurants that had opened and closed before you even opened yours.
Son of a
and then Tonic opens.
Yeah.
And to me, you built the East End. You were the anchor of what became the East End Entertainment District and really, I think, proved that was a viable area.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that the housing and everything was kind of, you showed it, others came down and did it as well.
Well, I thank you. We went from 0 to +1. There was nothing down there.
Yeah.
So
right.
I guess we were the first ones. We had success. But
that place would get
you reminded me of so many stories, so I'll bounce around. One thing before I forget, the gun thing. Did I ever tell you about when Weeze and I went to? Did you hear that story?
I heard it.
It wasn't that. It's not that.
No, it is. It is because
so we were
where you were
when I was producing. We were with Weeze. We got the opportunity. He had a good friend whose name's going to escape me, but he was the film critic for USA Today.
Yeah, it was Rex.
Yeah.
Reed. No.
Rex Reed, I think,
was the party
super guy.
Yeah. Yes, he was. No, this was Marshall Fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Marshall Fine.
Yeah.
So we got the opportunity to go down, and I was sort of his +1.
Uh-huh.
So we went to New York and got to go to the Rainbow Room for this, kind of smallish party. There were it looked like a decent sized wedding.
Okay.
But Paul Newman's there, Robert Redford. It was Pulp Fiction time.
Oh.
So all those people were in there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was really fun. That was like that Saturday.
Okay.
And I forget what table we're at, but it was really, really cool. But the night before, we went to this exclusive invite-only cocktail party, like on the Upper West Side. And at that time, I don't know if it still is, but you couldn't have firearms in New York City. It was a jailable offense.
Yeah.
Because a felony.
I think even if you go back, if you remember Plaxico Burress, the football player for the Giants, you need an additional license in New York City to carry a concealed weapon. So you can have the New York State concealed weapon, and then you need an additional license for New York City.
And it's no joke. It's
not
like
not
you don't
a joke.
Get fined.
Oh, no.
You go to jail.
They don't fuck
Plaxico
around.
Burress, he was off the team.
Right. Shot
so
himself
we're in
the
this
leg.
fancy, small cocktail party. It's like a 3-bedroom apartment. And we didn't really know anyone, so we're sort of huddled together on this little couch, just checking people out. And at one point, Weeze was getting up to go get a cocktail or food or something. He's like, bro, save my seat. So he gets up to lean over. And by the way, most of the people are skewed pretty old there.
Okay.
So back in that time, I'd say, I'm 24, 25. So they're all mid-40s to mid-60s. There's not many young people.
Right. And probably, I'm going to say, almost blue blood. It sounds like, if I remember, like...
Helen Mir.
Yes.
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah.
So I didn't know a lot of the people, but it was definitely... it was money people, right?
Yeah,
you had to,
and some of it's old money, some of these people, right? That would,
It was old money.
Yeah. There's a difference.
We're kind of sticking out. Well, more so. Well, I had long hair, and I'm the youngest by a good 15 years, it seemed, other than the wait staff. And I have long hair, so they're like, who's this guy, And then they find out I'm nobody. So Weeze is getting up, and he's leaning over, and boom, boom. And I go back to that when you picked up Raj's gun.
Yeah.
They're heavy.
Yeah, they are.
They're a little compact.
Well, I never had really held that.
I not that often. So he gets up, and boom, boom, there's this noise, and slide across on the hardwood floors is a gun. I had no idea he was carrying a gun. And by the way, Weeze, in these Blue Bloods, has his sleeves pulled up, and he doesn't have, maybe 2 square inches that it doesn't have ink on it.
Right.
And, he looks, he doesn't, at that time, tattoos weren't all that big. So it wasn't like movie star. It was sort of like, who's this dude?
Right.
And the gun slides over, and the look on these people's faces, they're mortified. They not even just they suddenly went from "oh my god" to "I'm scared." Like, and
he looked like a biker.
Laughing.
You know, he looked like a biker. And he's got a gun.
There's some Hell's Angel sitting there with a gun.
Exactly what it would be like.
And it changed the whole mood, and it was just so funny. He was so funny because he was so ridiculously uncomfortable laughing. We couldn't get out of there.
I'm assuming.
He picked it up, and kind of stuffed it in, and you could kind of see news was traveling pretty quickly, but we got out of there. That was the one thing I want to comment. Then the second thing you're talking about, opening the restaurant.
The tonic?
Tonic.
Yeah.
And you were saying it seemed like forever, and it did take forever. But back in those days,
well, I thought it took like 11 months. If I'm, and I may be wrong.
That's
I don't know why that stuck because I would argue with Tommy.
Yeah.
That because there was a place in Penfield that had that closed. And he goes, hey, let's see how many places we can find that open and closed before Charlie even opens. And we were laughing our asses off. And then I said to him, well, that's not really fair. And then there was, look, you're building out a space.
Yeah, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, but you're hiring. Yeah, okay.
I think that was it.
Sure.
I honestly thought, because I would tell people like about 6 weks. And, some people I know better than others would be like, you should just call it 6 weeks. Because every time I see you, you say 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But it took a really long time. And really because I didn't know what I was doing. And I think that was almost a blessing too. Yeah. Ignorance is bliss.
Oh boy, I'll tell you,
because I wouldn't have if I had known. I think if someone laid out in front of me, this is how long it's going to take, this is how much it's going to cost, and all that stuff, I probably wouldn't have done it. But you just kind of charge ahead and eventually opened it. Oh, but I want to tell you, at that time, I was trying to figure out a way that I could get fired. And get some money while I switch over and become full-time bar guy.
Yes.
And it was so funny because I had no idea what I was doing.
You were fighting with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the time we had a program director.
Yeah.
Harry Jacobs. And Harry was a guy that was very
douchey
into Harry. Harry did things. No, that's fair.
Well, in
I have to be careful.
I gave him a hard time because he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. He was just different.
But he would do things like, we talked about it on the podcast at one point, where he would call her 9, basically. He would invite her up, have her wait in the lobby, and then have everybody tell her what she looked like because he wanted to date her. He would start conversations with women and then invite them up. And they'd be in the lobby. Yeah. And he was only on from 4 to 6 p.m., but that was like his dating hours. And like he would meet these women and they would come up. And some of them were...
Caller 9.
Yeah, it was like Caller 9. He dated Caller 9. Yeah. But I remember like...
And they'd come up and see him and be like, thanks.
You did... I remember you changed the production hours. You were there from 6 to 3. Oh. And man, at 2:59, 30, you were out.
This is hilarious. Yeah, so what I was trying to do, and I'm no good at it because, I don't know, it's just out of my DNA, to try to get fired. But somehow I got that stupid idea in my head, like, well, if I get fired, I can still make money through unemployment insurance, which I knew nothing about. And then I could go jump over and start doing my restaurant or the bar full time. Because I was worried about making money. I had a smarter friend in college that was in labor law at the time.
Okay.
So I call him like, how do I do this? And he was, he wasn't an attorney for that long, but he gave me some points on like, here's what you need to do. No matter what, you can't quit.
Okay.
You have to get fired.
Yeah.
And that's, that's justification for being able to collect unemployment. So I'm like, okay, how do I do that? And he's like, well, just, essentially start being a dick, And then one of the other things he said was, you got to follow the rules.
Yeah.
But claim that they're making the environment there difficult for you to be able to do your job.
Okay.
So
like a toxic work environment.
Yeah. Like,
but this is like before that
this
label.
Is way before. This is like,
wow, this is genius.
It was hilarious.
I had no idea there was this much planning in the exit.
Full planning. And, the execution was terrible. But that was kind of building up to it. I'm like, okay, well, listen, I'm not coming in until this time because blah, blah, blah. So I'd only come in at a particular hour.
Yeah.
And then I would say that people coming into the studio was making it difficult for me to be able to do my job. So you can't come into the studio.
Yes.
Except for certain hours. Remember the sign?
Yes.
It was like, you can't enter.
Oh, God, I do remember.
And I'm so bad because at my core, I'm actually a pretty nice guy.
Well, you are, and everybody loved you there.
Well,
they legitimately loved you, like how creative you were. So they were doing everything they could to save you. And then I remember the GM being all confused as to what was going on. He didn't understand.
I had to have
this is awesome.
I had to have somebody in the organization to be kind of my foil. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yes.
Like I had to blame someone.
Yeah.
To make the environment that I was not, in such an environment that I wasn't able to do my job. So Harry Jacobs
perfect
was the enemy.
Yes.
And
so
and it was tough for me to get that mad at someone, Yeah. And they'd be like, I feel kind of bad. But so I was making Harry Jacobs the person that was making my job unable to do. So, and I remember at one point, time was ticking because we were getting close to opening. Where not so much opening the place, but I needed to spend more time there because we were there being the new bar because we're hanging drywall.
Yes,
and,
So you're doing all the
wire.
Were you doing all that?
Oh my God, it was and I knew nothing about it. I was middle class kid out of Brighton. My dad was a single. He was an attorney, but self-employed attorney. So we would hire people to hang drywall, and then part of the deal was we'll give you the job if you let us work with you.
Okay.
So. My brother would work with like the electrician. I'd work with like the drywaller. And then I'd figure out how they did it, or I assumed I figured it out. And then we'd let them go.
Okay.
And then we'd do it ourselves.
Okay.
So I was getting to a point where, that's like tradesman school 101 weekend class. Whew. So it got to a point where I'm like, well, I got to get over there and work. So I got to get fired. I got to figure out how to do it. So I remember finally we set up this meeting with, who's the little guy that
Bob?
Bob.
Yeah.
He was a good dude.
Yeah.
And I set up a meeting with him to saying, drawing the line, I can't work here anymore. This environment is too bad. So I'm in there with him, and he's like, dude, what's the deal? And I couldn't let on.
Yeah.
That I was coached that way, that you can't let on, and obviously. So I'm like, this guy's just made it. He's created an environment that's, made it impossible for me to do my job. And then that's where we went into like, okay, I'll limit your hours. No one can come see you. You can just work 9 to 5. You can do whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then part 2 was I had to get in there with him. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, and I just kept reciting this line, he's made it, he's created an environment where I can no longer do my job. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, are you talking to an attorney or something? You sound like a complete tool. And eventually,
did you crack?
I cracked. I just couldn't.
What
I'm
did
like,
you say?
I don't know. I'm just, he's smarter than me. He's a bright guy.
Yeah,
and
he is.
He's like,
he's a very good businessman.
He's like, I'm not letting this, hairball tell me what to do. So he just eventually smoked me out,
Yeah.
And I end up leaving. But it was very funny.
Did you? So how? Yeah, what
and
was
I paid for it, by the way, in karma.
Yeah.
Employee relations and trying to get, I'm like,
So you leave. When you left, you didn't get fired.
So I didn't get fired. I don't even know if that would have worked. I don't even know. At that point, I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. So I left and went over and kind of finished building out the restaurant and got into that stuff and figured out neither of us knew how to run a restaurant or build a restaurant. Why
this? Why the move from?
I mean, you're really know. I was just that kind of guy that I would.
How old are you at this point?
I was 27.
27
when I made that switch.
Okay.
I think we opened when I was 28, but I never never really had a concern of making money or being successful or getting the things I needed, in life. Like, and I didn't have a high bar. It's not like I needed a big house or, I was just sort of like someone that would, oh, this seems kind of cool. And I liked creative stuff. I like being in radio, not the sales side, but the creative side.
Yeah.
I like building things.
Yeah.
And I really didn't, I wasn't a good student.
Really?
I wasn't an applied student. I wouldn't do homework. I'd just take people's notes.
You went to McQuaid.
I went to McQuaid.
Now, I have a son who went to McQuaid. I wouldn't say the McQuaid was maybe not necessarily academically harder than any school in the area. It just gave you a lot of work. Like my kid was in an AP English class where they were reading and discussing a book. Yeah. But you also had to read 2 other books and write 3 papers on each book. Had to have a paper. That's a tremendous amount of work for high school.
I think that's increased though from when I went.
Well, this was an AP, and Jordan wanted to prove to the world that he could do whatever.
And I mentioned coming into the podcast, my kid's a 6-year-old, 6th grader.
Yeah, which is, I think, the smartest time to start. It's a really great environment for it. And I think it's great for boys to, less distraction, a little more focus. I think it breeds more competition, which I think is good.
Yeah. A healthy competition.
Yeah, a healthy competition.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was when I went, it wasn't quite so developed. Like now it looks like an academy.
It does. Yeah.
When I went, it was a Catholic high school.
Okay.
So the workload, I had nothing to base it off of, but it was manageable, and I got by with C's, C pluses and stuff like that. And then the only college I got into, the only thick envelope was John Carroll University. No offense, John Carroll, sorry. But which I hear is getting more and more difficult.
Yes, it is.
That's a Jesuit school.
Yep.
And so I think they had kind of like this agreement with McQuaid, they'll take us.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like that Catholic Christian, give us your week, you're unwanted, you're scorned, whatever that is.
Well, Jesuit schools and Jesuit institutions are considered academically superior to most. I mean, one of the best, I think, in Chicago, is it Loyola?
Probably.
Yeah, Jesuit school, really, really highly rated. And I was hoping my kid would go on to a Jesuit college.
Yeah. Well, there's some, I applied to them, some of the nicer ones.
Yeah.
And I was telling someone, because I'm at that age now where our kids are starting to look at schools and apply to schools, and you're learning about, where do people want to go. And But when I was applying, remember it was like $30 an application, which was a fortune.
Yeah.
And I had to pay for them through whatever. And my parents would help me out with some of the applications. But it got to a point where my dad would be like, what are you doing? That's a waste of money. You're never going to get in there. Really? He was like, can I have $30 to apply to, I don't know, University of Vermont? That'd be like a reach for me back then. So I applied to maybe 9 schools, and I didn't get into any, or 8.
Yeah.
I got into 1. I went to John Carroll. But, and John Carroll, even, I was just, I could manage the system and get by.
Yeah.
And I love the experience, but I wasn't a student,
Yes.
Sometimes I think I would like to go back, but then I'm like, a zebra and his colors. I'm like, I do it for a week. I go, this sucks. I wouldn't study. I just didn't have that.
But there's a difference, because I think like they've done studies with young kids where they have kids do a test, and then they say to them, wow, you're so smart. You really did great. And they tell another group of kids to take the same test. Man, you worked so hard. Your effort was amazing. And then they give the test again. And the kids that were told about effort scored higher than the kids that were told how academically superior or smart they were. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. This is a psychological study I was just reading about. So it's always about effort. And when you think for yourself, one of the things I always said about radio was there was nothing tangible at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You didn't have anything tangible. You sort of did in production when you were doing that. You had something you could look at. I always liked working with my hands, and I had done construction stuff in high school and a little bit in college, that at the end of the day, if I hung a door, I could look back and do that. And there's some personal satisfaction in that. So as I'm hearing you talk about, building out tonic, you can look at something and see the progression.
Yeah.
And as you get further and further into it, it evolves.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to have this here. It's going to look better over here. And the bar is going to be, I'm just saying that things change along the way.
Yeah. And
and you're doing it yourself. And I go back to, you talked about being naive, kind of going in blind. Mm-hmm. The greatest thing, and I've experienced this with the podcast, it's been a year, no rules. Right. There are no rules. So that way you don't know the barrier. The other thing I would always say to people is, and a mutual friend of ours did this without even knowing it, but I always go, if you have an idea, don't tell anybody about it, because or just some people who are going to be sort of supportive, because people are going to come to you and go, Charlie, open a bar? Yeah. You know what happens in bars? You guys get drunk, they lose, they never last, you lose your money, you're kind of pissed away. And so you get all that doubt in your head. Mm-hmm. And I'll always go to people who go, Al, I go, wait, hang on a second. I'll give you a biblical answer. Jesus used to say, heal people and go forth and tell no one. The reason is because they're going to go, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Right. You'll be dead. You'll be in the ground. What are you talking about? And so I'll just tell you, I'm starting the podcast and I'm thinking of doing stuff. And my exit from radio was a little traumatic and it had little bumps. And I get a call from our old friend Bull.
Yeah.
And he goes, what are you going to do? And I said, I had just ordered all this equipment. I said, I'm going to do a podcast. I was doing that. Yeah. I was doing it with Bull in the basement. And
good luck.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, had I had that before I ordered the equipment, I wouldn't have spent the money.
Yeah.
But
then you're like, it's Bull. He's kind of a loser. No, I'm kidding.
I always like Bull.
Love you, Bull.
But so it was just an interesting thing. And I would think you probably had to run into that.
Constantly. Even my dad pulled me aside and go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like a bar.
Yeah.
You went to McQuaid, you're going to John Carroll, and
yes.
It just wasn't, it wasn't in our family culture. I don't know what.
So you really, so this was just something that you and your brother thought, hey, let's try it?
My brother was smarter than, my brother was kind of like, Family Ties. Who's the young kid? Michael.
Yes. Yeah, Michael Keaton or
Michael Keaton.
No, I don't know his name.
No, but I was going to say Michael Keaton.
That's not the name, but I know his name.
He would, he was a go-getter. So he'd come down, for school. He had the tie on, and he's all ready to briefcase, that kind of thing. And he was very successful early on in life and got the jobs and hustled and all that. And I was kind of the goofball on the side. Didn't have a path sort of thing.
Yeah.
And eventually he circled back. He was in advertising. Yeah, he was in LA working for BBD&O, I think is an agency. And then he was running a division of Johnson & Johnson, the Vistacon, which made disposable contact lenses. And he was young at that time. When I go back and do the math, I'm like, damn, that kid was successful. So I think he had kind of had enough of that and was like, I miss just kind of messing around and doing stuff. So he kind of quit his job or got fired or both. I think he used my tool. He went in there and said,
I can't do my job.
I can't do my
was
job.
Was Harry Jacobs there as well?
He was. And he said, Mr. Jacobs is there. I think he was about as successful as I was at it. So he ended up quitting his job and joining a rock band down there and growing his hair out and just being, kind of goofing off for a while. And then he eventually was planning on coming back up to Rochester. And that's when I was in radio. So I was probably 26 and he's 5 years my senior. So he's probably 31 around that time. So we started looking for to build like an ad agency, a little creative house.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then I would sort of head up, I guess, the radio side.
Well, just the creative side.
Or just the creative side. I didn't know about the business side. And he had the business background as marketing director and go that. So we started looking for spaces, and then we bumped into this restaurant or this space on Alexander on the second floor that was Gup Signs. And prior to that, it was Snyder. Pardon me, Gup Signs was lower. It was Snyder Auto Seat Cushion, which no one knows about.
Yeah.
And we walked in, we're like, damn, this is a nice space. This would make a really cool bar. And that was it.
Hear the rest of my conversation with Charlie Fitzsimmons in episode 266. Just search Billified wherever you get your pod on. Since we are talking about it all starts with an idea, got a special treat from episode 94 coming up right after this. Connors and Ferris, because sometimes life throws you a curveball and you're going to need a team that's going to knock it out of the park. That's Connors and Ferris. They're more than just a law firm. They're your trusted partners in navigating workers' compensation, Social Security disability, and personal injury claims. Connors and Ferris have offices in New York City, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, and they're dedicated to providing personalized, compassionate legal support. Look, you're talking about a team that has decades of experience. Their skilled attorneys are there to guide you every step of the way, making the complex legal process simple and stress-free. Because having any one of these cases is overly stressful. Let that stress go. Call Connors and Ferris at a very easy number to remember, 262-COMP. They're going to strive to secure the benefits and compensation you deserve. 262-COMP for Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Mac of All Trades is a family-owned business, and they understand how chaotic family life can get. There's a lot of activity. You've got to get people to practices. Somebody forgot a book that you have to go home and drop off for school because, well, you just have to. You're the parent. That's what happens. Oh, and you want to lose 10 pounds and you're trying to squeeze the gym in? You know what you can't squeeze in? Fixing the leaky faucet, painting the room, and that hole that mysteriously got in the wall in the den. Yeah, how are you going to find time to patch that? That's where Mac of All Trades comes in at 585-202-9218. Mac can fix the leaky sink, patch the drywall, and paint the room. Family life is never going to get less chaotic. It's probably going to get more chaotic. But at least you can go home to no leaky faucet, a painted room, and a wall that's been patched perfectly, professionally, because that's what Mac does. They even do bigger jobs like full bathroom and kitchen remodels. Give them a call at 585-202-9218. You can even go online and see the work they do at macofalltrades.net. Mac of All Trades, making your life a little less chaotic. MJ Dispensary. They are on the cutting edge, and I love partnering with places that are on the cutting edge. They do a great job at MJ Dispensary of education, educating you about all the different types of THC and CBD and other things that they have that really can improve your life. Maybe eliminate medications, possibly totally eliminate pain for you, right? A lot of people living with pain, and they're trying to mask it with different pills or, you know, different things you can buy over the counter. Go to MJ Dispensary, talk with them. They're so knowledgeable. Genesee Valley Regional Market, 900 Jefferson Road, Suite 902. It's comfortable. They're great. I'll tell you what, I have never met a group of people that have more energy and positivity than I have at MJ Dispensary. And that is really saying something. And they'll explain things to you. If you're looking for creativity, if you're looking for something to deal with pain, if you're looking for something to help you sleep, they have it all there. And then once you know, well, you can have them delivered to you. Or find out more by going to their website, mjdispensary585.com. I'm telling you, cutting edge, knowledgeable people, it's exactly what you're looking for. And what a healthier way to handle pain and things like not sleeping. Just a natural way, right? And that's what MJ Dispensary has. Again, 900 Jefferson Road, Suite 902 in the Genesee Valley Regional Market. Online at mjdispensary585.com.
Moving forward, using all my breath.
You get sick of hearing this song ever?
No. Nope. Changed my life.
You know, it's interesting. And Tommy Brunett's here, Iron Smoke, but I said to him, I wanted to talk to him forever, and I hope that didn't freak you out. Because you've had world tours where you played in front of like 30,000 people a night with Modern English.
Yep.
I think, did you do tours with your own band?
Yeah, we're a solid opener. Like
Yeah.
Tommy Brunett band will be playing with, like, we open up for everybody from ZZ Top to the Lumineers.
Yeah.
We opened up for Lumineers on the roof of Whole Foods during South by Southwest in Austin.
Man, I love South by Southwest.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in years, and I was kind of excited now that I'm doing the podcast. I go, shit, let's go back.
Yeah.
South by Southwest and the Montreal Comedy Fest were two places I always wanted to take my sons.
Yeah. Well, it's South by Southwest is a blast.
When did you do that?
Oh, I went every year, and then all of a sudden COVID hit. But
it changed a little bit over the years. Right now, it's more. There's film in there, and I don't think there was film when I was there.
Film. There's like digital.
Yeah.
And then there's the music still, and then there's. Did I say film?
Yeah.
Yeah, film. It's crazy. They built such an amazing thing, but you do like 5 shows in a day.
Uh-huh.
And usually like they'll have me do a corporate gig.
Yeah.
And then like 4 that are like, maybe a Spin magazine party back when Spin was the thing.
That's fun.
So you play and your shoes are squeaking because you're just done, sweat.
Yeah.
From playing all those shows.
So
you go from one to the other.
And that was the Tommy Brunett band that did that.
But I had a pickup band from down there that I know. The musicians down there.
Okay.
They actually live in a shotgun shack.
They do?
Yeah, they all live there. And I think they were going to do a TV show on these guys. But you go up in the mountains, and all they do is play. And then they have parties after they play at this house.
That's
and
so
literally,
cool.
like the shotgun shack where there's a door in the front and a door in the back.
Yeah.
And so you can shoot a shotgun through the house. So we just went there.
Up in the hills of Austin area?
Yeah. And then, yeah, there was like an old car with grass growing over it and a toilet with beads in it from a party, and we did one rehearsal, and then that day, like our show was like an hour after we did the rehearsal up there.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Because, when I think about you, I didn't know that. I didn't know that the Tommy Brunett band had opened for all those other bands as well. I knew you had toured, but
there's more. Like there's like Outlaws and, Charlie Daniels at Finger Lakes Racetrack.
How was that?
Oh, it was great, man.
Do you get to meet them? Because, one of the things that came out yesterday was Metallica saying how disappointed they were when they opened for the Stones in 2005, because I guess somebody walked in and said, hey, Mick Jagger's going to walk through here in a second. He's going to his truck that has an entire gym in it, and he's going to work out before the show, but don't make eye contact.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Is that really a thing?
Yeah,
You've been told that?
Well, not...
I always thought that was
fortunate.
Bullshit.
Like ZZ Top, when we played, the guy goes, "Everybody get the F out here unless you're with Tommy Brunett." And I'm like, I've arrived.
Yeah.
I didn't get kicked out. Because sometimes they take your pass off you when you're done.
Yeah.
And you're out.
Okay.
You don't get to be able to be back there. What was a good? Oh, George Thorogood I played with a couple of times. And
now, George Thorogood I interviewed, and I had somebody come to me afterwards and go, he's usually a dick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is he?
I never talked to him.
Okay.
In the first couple shows, I never could have words with, like, he just was. I didn't even see him. I'm like, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I can check his guitars out and stuff.
Yeah.
Nope, nothing. And then the last time we played with them, they said, "Hey, you can hang out. George says you're cool," or whatever. And I was like, "All right." Well, I don't know what that means, but okay. So then when he walked up on stage, he's like, "Hey, man,
yeah,
good job."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, that was cool." There's a story. Someone told me that he met Bob Dylan once, and Bob Dylan went, and I love George Thorogood. I'm like, his tone and some of the stuff he did, but he goes, he was really excited to meet Bob Dylan. He goes, Bob Dylan looks at him and goes, "Yeah, you're that guy who does the cover songs," because a lot of his songs are covers.
They are covers, yeah.
But
Bad to the Bone and all that.
It's George Thorogood, the Destroyers.
You're
they keep
that guy that does it.
Yeah.
Man, talk about putting a pin right in you.
Oh, God.
Right?
That
would be horrible. I had no idea. So that's got to be something about you. You realize that?
I don't know.
No, but like that vibe, you are one of the most genuinely cool. I always say there's cool that anybody can be, and they're not, but they could be. And then there's guys like you who you're a cool nobody. You know what I'm saying? You just ooze. It's a whole lifestyle. That Iron Smoke thing is a whole lifestyle.
Yeah, it is a lifestyle.
I really believe
it's
that.
It's not a job. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. I see that. But when I was looking up stuff about you, I mean, one of the things, and I know you're very humble and you won't take a lot of credit for this, but you helped revitalize Fairport. Fairport's exploding, and a lot of that has to do with you. You took something that was a rundown area that had nothing for decades, Tommy. You went in there and proved it could work, and now the place is exploding.
Yeah, well,
I know.
It was the thing we really needed was cheap rent and high ceilings, so it wasn't like I had a plan. But my business partner Steve Brown found that location and the price and the high ceilings for the stills, and we also could have our grain bins out front. They look like, we call them whiskey missiles when you pull up.
Yeah.
but those hold fresh grain. So you wanted to make sure it was the freshest ingredients, and then, hammer mill on site. So you have the fresh crushed grains, kind of like Sanka or French press. You want the French press before it goes into the mash tun, and we use all Kentucky Vendome stills. But when we first moved in there wasn't a parking lot. There was no electricity. We put it in there. It was just busted
old warehouse. But how do you have that vision? Like, I can't. Sometimes I'm amazed how people can walk in to a place and go, "Yeah, it's great," and I would go, "I don't know what you see," and then they remove a wall and they do something else, and then you got it. I think your space is one of the coolest I've seen.
It's cool. I think. Well, thank you so much, because we work hard at it, and it's like it takes a village to make a bottle of whiskey now. But it's everybody kicking in thoughts. Like when we were going to open the tasting room, we had a Christmas party, and that room was full of like washing machines, no windows, falling down. There was a ramp going into their building.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's the tasting room that we have the concerts in now and stuff. And
whose washing machines were they?
I don't know. So they were coin operated laundry. I don't know what was going on. It was the old landlord, so probably made a deal with somebody. You could crash them here, and we purposely didn't do too much to it because we wanted to make it kind of feel like illegal to be in almost.
Yeah. And
I took Josh Miles back there during that party, and I hit his iPhone like little, flashlight, and I'm like, "What do you think?" He goes, "It's plug and play, dude. You got to do it," because he opens up restaurants.
Yeah, he does. He's done a ton. He's a Revelry, and I think even the one in Bushnell's Basin is his.
Bronca,
yeah.
Yeah.
Ton of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Bitter Honey. He's got Ziggy's now.
Bitter Honey, yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you have been, so we talk about that as success, but is it true you were homeless at one point?
Yeah, I was a runaway.
As a kid?
Yeah. That's why they had me do that weird the fashion show. The Center for Youth Services is involved, but they turned me around.
You ran away?
I used to jump. I was crazy. I don't know how my parents lived through it. And that's another story, but I used to jump boxcar trains and just end up somewhere and just trying to get home and sleep under railroad bridges.
Holy shit.
Thruway bridges. Yeah, highway bridges.
How far did you get on a box train as a kid?
Not far, man. I jumped off of Batavia one time and tried to figure out how to get back, and then I think I made it almost to Syracuse once, but it was just.
What year is this?
I was probably in the 10th grade or something.
Okay.
No,
I'm saying,
blur.
I'm only saying what decade, because
there's
no
I'm
cell
old.
Phones.
Yeah.
Right.
There was. That's another point. When you're on tour, you got to wait till the truck stop.
Yeah, man, to make a call to check in at home. Like my parents, when I was a kid, put in an 800 number because we would call where I went to school and where I lived is such a jerkwater town, and they call it upstate New York. It's down by Rhinebeck.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area.
It is a beautiful area, Hudson Valley. But we would have to call home from long distance, so my parents got a Call Home America 800 number. So you could go to a payphone and you just dial an 800 number.
I remember those.
Yeah, and that was.
But when I got into modern English, I made it in the band. That's another crazy story. But I went from eating a Snickers bar from the gas station, cutting it in half and have that for lunch and dinner, and some combos sometimes if I could do, because I was making a record in the middle of Pennsylvania when I got the call to audition, and the singer called me up. They said he's going to call the studio, was the label that got me involved. And she said, Robbie Gray's going to call you, and it's the guy. That's the singer. He wrote the song and everything. And it was, the phone rang, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And he goes, first thing he said was, well, what do you like to wear? And I'm like, I'm not afraid to mix polka dots with plaid. I like to wear shoes that arrive in the room a couple minutes before I do.
This is your answer?
Yeah. And then he goes,
where the fuck did you come up with that
I don't know.
answer?
I just was like, I'm just going to go for it.
That was great.
And then he said, what kind of guitar do you play, mate? I'm like, and what kind of guitar do you want me to play? You're the boss. And then he just hung up after literally 4 or 5 minutes, nothing. And I hung up, and the girl from the label called me and said, he wants you in New York City tomorrow. Can you make it? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. And I had no car. I had no money. And I borrowed someone's car.
Okay.
Borrowed someone's telly and went and did it.
Wow.
And then Yoko Ono was in the kitchen with her son. David Bowie was rehearsing down the hallway. And I was like, this is the shot. This is what you know. This is what they say.
Some
is
people
like, don't
crumble
mess
under
this
that
up.
kind of pressure.
Well, especially because you got to learn all the songs and drive to New York from the middle of Pennsylvania, figure all that out.
Yeah.
No sleep.
Right.
Fingers are like lines of the fingers from just trying to get the songs down for over and over. And I played 3 songs, and they go, like, hold on, we'll be right back. And they got out of the room. They came back in. They go, so what are you doing for the next 3 months or so? And I'm like, hopefully hanging with you guys. And it's like, they're like, you're in, mate. You know, and I'm like, all right, well, now what do I do? Like, and we went right down to the bar and drank Boddingtons for the first time I ever had Boddingtons.
It's one of my favorites.
They drank the bar out of Boddingtons.
Yeah.
And I remember going, what do I do about the car? What do I do about the guitar? And from right then, everything was taken care of. Like, give him the keys. Where is it parked? Don't worry about the guitar. And I went home and gave a checkbook to my dad and went back for rehearsals. And like, maybe 10 days later, it was like national television. And, you know.
Right.
Holy
shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like Gibson got...
That's the closest thing to, and I don't, because I don't believe it, but that's like the closest thing to overnight success, but it's not. You were grinded making a record. How did they find out about you? The girl from the label knew me. Knew you.
You know, and of me, and I kept just looking for, like, when David Lee Roth needed a guitar player.
Yeah. You were going to play with David Lee Roth?
I didn't get I got close to audition? A lot of things. No, that was done, but I'd always go like, Def Leppard needs, you know, or whatever. And she'd always look out for opportunities. But I played with Lou Gramm.
Yeah.
When he did the Midnight Blue thing.
Yeah.
And I thought I had the gig. He's like, yeah, you're in. And then his bass player had a guitar player he promised the gig to out in California, I guess. And Lou was like, I didn't know this happened. And I'm like, really? Oh. And I couldn't really use that gig right then. Can you imagine, like, playing? I know my friends and ex-bandmates, some of them have played for Lou Gramm, but it's like...
This was Lou when Lou was doing solo stuff.
Yeah, right when he
so Midnight Blue.
Yeah. That album, I remember learning that song and sitting across from him playing on somewhere near downtown where he's got all his cars. He's got the big blow-up jukebox.
Yeah. He does. He doesn't tell anybody where that is. Because so I kind of got to know Lou a little bit, but later on, right? Much later on.
Yeah.
And I used to say to him, I saw him at a car show, and I'm like, Lou, I want to see these cars because it's all muscle cars.
Yeah.
And then he tells me a story. Now, he's divorced again, but he was married at the time. So he was going to play Party in the Park, and I walked up. I was standing there because I was going to introduce the bands. And his wife gets out, Robin, and she's like, hi, thanks for having Lou on the radio show today. A great interview. And I said, yeah. I go, man, that is so cool about the car that he had trailered from California. And she looks at me, and the guy's standing behind me going, no. Like, look, I go, you're fucking Lou Gramm.
Yeah.
She doesn't get any say.
Yeah.
It's your money. You earned it.
That's the way it goes sometimes. But, it was unbelievable listening to the timbre and his voice was just like...
I always thought he was one of the best.
Horn. Like, it sounded so amazing and just like the record with nothing, just across sitting across from him.
See, that's really cool to hear someone as seasoned as you say that about Lou, because I always thought he was one of the best voices in rock.
Yeah. Legit. Like, he's got... How many hits? I don't even know. Like, these guys could play hits his whole concert. Yeah.
Right, with Foreigner and stuff. And then he always had kind of a bitter ending there with Mick Taylor, Mick Jones, right?
Mick Jones,
yeah. Mick Taylor was the young guy in the Stones who probably a guitarist like you that they picked up along the way, and then they just ruined that kid.
Yeah.
I remember him coming on the old Wii show, and they were trying to get him an 8-ball, and he was a mess.
An 8-ball?
Well, not him. Wherever venue he was playing was like, yeah, we got to find this. He was a mess, this poor guy. He looked awful. But you now have 2 kids. Mm-hmm. You've also done marketing for Richard Branson, and you're in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, doesn't it sound like a fish story, kind of?
No, it doesn't. It sounds
weird.
Fucking amazing. I'm saying, like, do you ever pause in your life and go, what a ride, man. No. What a ride.
Well, that's encouraging.
I'm just listening to you now. The Lou Gramm, the South by Southwest, ZZ Top says he's cool. George Thorogood finally comes out. George Thorogood probably doesn't talk to anybody.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
There's a lot. But that whole... There's a lot. The Guinness Book of World Records thing was that was Armin from the House of Guitars. We're on his label. And there was a show called Just for the Record out of Australia that they wanted us to break the Who's decibel level. And
really?
Yeah, and it was 123 decibels, I think. And we got the Guinness Book of World Records plaque at the House of Guitars with our, when Immaculate Mary.
Yeah.
The hair farmer days.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to do was play guitar when I played hockey, and then I found the guitar, and that was it.
Yeah.
Nothing else really mattered.
Where did you go to school, high school?
I went to Kearney for a couple of years and got kicked out.
Okay.
On my permanent record, it says I was a bad influence on the Kearney family. And then there's a long story, and I don't know if I want to go into that, but the guy that kicked me out, the brother who kicked me out, got busted for soliciting a minor because he used to ask me weird questions. I'd be like, none of your business. And my dad was so mad at me. Then that happened years later, and my dad was like, I'm sorry. I thought, because I was a punk. Yeah. Why would you believe me? I wasn't like.
But your old man came and apologized to you.
Well, he told me that it was years later though.
I understand, but like I've had a similar thing. I've talked very openly, not to change things here, but where I was molested by a babysitter.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, as a kid, 7 years old. And it went on. Yeah. And so it can fuck you up, it really can. I'm old now and I've worked through stuff, but I've had conversations. My mother confronted the dude.
Oh my God.
Years later.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's
years
crazy.
Later.
What a dirtbag.
But there was something about that made you sort of feel validated. I don't care how old you are. Yeah. Same thing with your old man going, hey man, I'm sorry.
They would lock me in a room with a Bible all day. I'd get out. He'd hit me with this bicycle rubber thing on my hands, and it was crazy. And it was a different world back then. And but it was just I never got. Like no one ever went as far as they did with you.
No, I understand that.
But it was just unappropriate.
What is that fortitude inside you that a lot of kids would fold after that, right? Because you're going to get the pressure at school, and then you go home and your old man's pissed, right? Because all this stuff in Kearney. But what made you never kind of waver on this thing? I mean, you had like this. Is it a free spirit? Is that what you call it? You're jumping on trains,
it's crazy,
and fucking sleeping under underpasses. That's not nuts. It's there's something freeing about it.
Yeah, I guess, but I just didn't. It wasn't right, and I knew it, and there was something off.
But it's an adventure, man.
Yeah, it was okay, but and then I went to Schrader.
Okay,
and I remember, I think I got a fight with the toughest guy in school, Dom Trincini. He plays with. He's a musician. And we ended up in a band together afterwards. Back then, you get in a fight, and then you're best friends afterwards.
Especially guys. Yeah, we were. I remember the same thing.
Yeah, there was a smoking lounge back then.
Yeah, there was. You could smoke outside.
It's the dumbest thing I ever did. I did a lot of dumb things. That was a big one of them, smoking cigarettes.
But so now you have the Tommy Brunett band at that point that's opening up. It's 2008. You had done marketing. You were in New York City. And then the bubble kind of comes, right?
Yeah, that's when. Yeah. I was. We had an office on between Prince and Houston on Broadway.
Yeah.
We were cranking. I was working like literally. I'm a blue collar kid. My dad was a plumber, and my mother was a nurse living in Webster, New York. And all of a sudden, I got a place in Manhattan. I've got like a view all the way to Central Park from down in Tribeca.
Damn, dude!
I was cranking.
And what were you doing? Music?
I was doing. I started a radio show called Universal Buzz Radio, and we built that into 3.2 million listeners or 3.6 million listeners because of the internet.
Okay.
We had it on college radio.
Yeah.
And it was upcoming bands like we recorded Kid Rock at Water Street. We recorded the White Stripes at the Bug Jar when I lived above the Bug Jar. And he stayed above the Bug Jar with his wife that everybody thought was a sister, Meg. But guys,
shit. That's right. Everybody did think that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's amazing.
I saw Jack White on Crossroads.
Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic guitarist.
I wanted to stop cars on Monroe Avenue and go, get in here. This guy is singing like Robert Plant and playing like Jimmy Page. You gotta see this guy. And then we hung out. He's an encyclopedia of blues. We hung out at South by Southwest. I think I stole a bottle off the bar at an after party, and we sat by the porta potties like drinking that bottle and just talking about music.
Yeah. You ever still talk to these guys?
No, it'd be like when I run into somebody.
Yeah.
And I go, hey man, this is,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this.
Well, how are they gonna? You're hard to not remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Since some people just like, I don't know what happened. Like, I was hanging out in Nashville. The guy owns Tootsie's and like a lot of other legendary bars there. He's like, they wanted me to go to his girlfriend's grandmother's birthday party to meet him because he blew me off that day at a meeting.
Yeah. And
I ended up singing happy birthday to his girlfriend's grandmother. He's like, let's go to my Tootsie's. I go, I can't go to, I got a meeting in the morning. And they go, if he says go to Tootsie's, he wants him to meet his friend, you go. And I'm like, all right, I guess we're going. And we all jumped in the big car and went to Tootsie's. If you know, Tootsie's like 3 floors of music.
Yep.
And we went upstairs in that big room. And there's the VIP section. The VIP section is behind the stage. So you're above the stage behind it.
Wow.
And his friend's Kid Rock.
No shit.
That's where we wanted me to go and hang out. Did
you remind Kid Rock that you had recorded him at Water Street?
I never really, I told him, I go, the Devil Restaurateur Cause release in Asia where you had a live track from Universal Buzz Radio. He goes, yeah, I remember that. I'm like, that was my radio show.
Wait a second. Like, you ended up on an import?
Yeah, we recorded them, and no one had live tracks back then. The platinum albums hanging at Iron Smoke that I got from that release.
Wow! So you made money off that?
No.
No.
There's
no mail. Like
we got accolades.
Oh.
And we signed an agreement. I think we made money, but it was like we didn't make. I think it was a couple of grand or something. Okay. Not like we got paid like,
the royalty, what do they call it? Mailbox checks.
No, they never do that with our, back then we were just like, a bunch of outlaw kids trying to get Willie Nelson to let us record him and stuff, And then that grew, and then the White Stripes got signed to V2, which is Richard Branson's baby label. Yeah. And they wanted us to market them because we were on college campuses with the radio show. And right. It just catapulted. Like I got all of a sudden Fuse TV hired us for their launch. Yeah. I came up with a concept for a campaign for the subways in New York, and I just started adding zeros to my quotes. And then MTV hired us away. MTV2, remember the three-headed dog thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Because of what we did at South by Southwest. We took over South by Southwest for Fuse, and then MTV, and then it was just like Disney hired us. I was on like...
Okay, so people go to school to learn how to do this shit. You realize that. People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a marketing degree. And dude, you just did it?
Yeah, pretty much. Just kept going.
All just instinctual.
Yeah, I was good at... I didn't know how to spell entrepreneur, by the way, and I was like, "Would you call me?" But it was more about just like I had a knack for like ideas.
Yeah.
And then I put a team together to do the big ideas. Like when I flew out to Disney, I'm like, "Wow, I'm on the lot," I'm like, "This is wild." And they're like, "Okay, we're sitting down in a room, like we got a new movie. It's Johnny Depp playing a pirate." And it's going to be called Pirates of the Caribbean. And we need to know what to do to we really want to take over Hollywood and get people engaged. So I came up with
Disney hires you. No shit.
To come up with ideas for a release of movie releases. We were doing stuff for like ESPN, like setting up boxing rings in the middle of Times Square. What was the other one? The House. What was it? HGTV.
Yeah.
They had something. I don't know. We did something, and
it just kind of all. So okay, because this is fascinating to me, and it's fascinating because every single thing that we have in this world today started as an idea, right? So now it makes sense to me because I've heard the story of 2008. I'm living back up here, got kids in diapers. I'm smoking ribs and drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
People have ideas all the time, my man. They don't follow through. Do you see what I'm saying?
I know, but I talk about that when I speak at schools or whatever, colleges, and I do some speaking engagements once in a while. Yeah.
Okay.
And even with younger kids, I go, don't give up because you're going to get knocked down. You just got to keep going and pick yourself up and have faith that this is life. This is spice of life. Yep. Everybody goes through it. It's not good times all the time. That's why it's an amazing experience being alive.
Well, that's why I say it's like a ride for you. Like when I start off homeless and then I find out you're jumping on boxing, I think it's different for you. I think you look at everything as an adventure.
I do. I call it, when we go out like with Jen, my wife, or the kids, we call it an expedition when we're going away.
Yeah. I mean, it makes
not a vacation,
sense.
It's an expedition.
Yeah, because, and with you, I bet it is. Because you'll find the coolest, most, everybody, you're not a tourist trap kind of guy.
No.
You'll find the authenticity in wherever you are. Usually, I dig that. I really, really dig that.
And I tell the kids to show, okay, we're landing in Atlanta. We got to find our connection and make them do it. Or we take them back to New York City because they were born there. And we ask, like, what train we're going to take and what, even if we're going to end up in the wrong stop, we let them go. It's really incredible. But that 2008 thing, to tie that together in your head, because there's a lot of weird stuff we're talking about. Yeah. 2008, the bottom fell out in New York City. Yeah. I was rocking. Like, I didn't worry about anything. Money, like everything. We were printing money with the marketing company, had a great staff. And then 2008, the bottom fell out of the economy, and no one was paying us. I let everybody go. I sat down and told 10 people, I'm like, this has been a great ride. Yeah, I got 2 days. I can pay you for 2 days. And you're going to go out and look for jobs right now. Okay. It's all because it happened so fast. I didn't have anything else. And I owed money to American Express was calling me when Jagger's being born. They wouldn't let me hang up. I'm like, I'm getting my son from the hospital right now. He's just born. They're like, if you don't make a payment right now, this is going to happen. So that's what was going on in my world, from having all this great stuff but I had my health, and I had Jen, and I had my kids. That's everything. That's good. Yeah, you can do anything you want if you got your health and you got people who love you and care about you. But that's when I was in the backyard, kids in diapers, smoking ribs, drinking whiskey. And I'm like, Jen, has anybody done a smoked bourbon like barbecue? And there was only a couple of companies, Corsair and Balcones, and it was really over smoked. So we came up with a recipe that was not so smoked.
But how? This is what I'm saying is, you realize, like, as I said with the marketing thing, people went to school, nice, U of R, they sit in courses and they have that. And the same thing probably with who thinks, this is what I'm saying to you. So to come up with the idea, and then I'm going to say this, 99.9% of the people go, nah, I can't fucking do that. Or am I going to do that?
But when you got to think when that happens, dumber guys than us have done this.
That's a good point. So that's a very good point. I mean?
And the guys that are like, it's just doing it and following through.
But the follow through with you is amazing, dude.
Well, it's having the right people around me too.
Well, I would agree that, the idea of a self-made man, not entirely true, because everybody needs, people around them to believe in it. But that's the thing, is you got to find the people that believe
and that they're smarter and better at something than you're not.
And you've got to be willing to put that aside. Yeah. So where do you, so you come up with the idea, you start looking for recipes?
Yeah.
Are you doing this in your kitchen?
Well, we did it in friends' kitchens and people that helped start the businesses' kitchens and backyards. And I liked Pappy.
Yeah.
Back when you can buy it for $35-$40 a bottle on the shelf.
What is it now? Like $150, $175, $200?
It's around there, but as soon as you take it out of the store, it's $1,000 or $1,200 or $1,500 but that's the recipe was based on a wheated bourbon, and that's where I met Drew, our master distiller. He's brilliant, and he was young, and he was working on a still on the Finger Lakes. I went to Finger Lakes Distilling and talked to Brian McKenzie about what we're doing and showed him the designs for everything, and he goes, I don't have the capacity. I got to make my own. There's a guy up the lake called Montezuma Winery, and I went to them and Bill Martin and said, I need a still, So he had a chicken smoker. I was smoking the grains, trying to figure that out.
On a chicken smoker?
Yeah, I started with corn.
So you literally did it.
Well, yeah, with people around me that could help me, but I knew what I liked, and like the Bernheim kind of thing, and then it's adjusting the recipe and what triple char on the barrels, and I didn't even know that bourbon turned brown because of the char in the barrel. I didn't know anything.
Yeah, I thought all spirits were clear until they were like sitting in the barrels.
So you know more than I know.
Well, but I only know that because I'm an alcoholic and I really like booze.
Got problems.
And I love brown. I do love the brown stuff.
Yeah,
my old man loved the brown stuff. I'm Irish. That's what happened.
Well, my Grandpa Joe and my dad Joe.
You had a Grandpa Joe too? I did too.
Yeah, Grandpa Joe. He's first and last on the old dance floor. You know, I always had a Jenny Red Eye and a cigarette. I remember fishing and, you know.
Yeah.
He's Italian. I'm like mostly Polish, but I get my Italian from Uncle Joe.
Okay.
Grandpa Joe. Yeah. My dad, Big Joe.
That's incredible. So you went and smoked all this stuff yourself, and then it just kind of, but then other people are seeing this and just buying in.
Yeah, it was like my business partner Steve that I mentioned, Brown. He said if there's not a lot of competition, I'll help pay for the first, you know, round and everything. But now it's like we're attached at the hip, thick as thieves, you know. Like, and he's a really smart wealth guy, like money guy, and just in general, really savvy. And that happened, and then when we finally came out with our recipe after trials, we had like 300 cases, and I asked my distributor at the time, what if we sell out? I got the van with Scully on it. I'm in front of 5,000 people in front of ZZ Top without a drop in a bottle going, Iron Smoke, tonight you're going to be healed by the powers of rock and roll and whiskey. Can I get an amen, brothers and sisters? You know, Iron Smoke, you know. And we came out, and he said it'd take a year before you sold out, and we sold out in a week and a half.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was counting on the guy down in the lake, Bill Martin, to make our stuff. We were counting on them. And that's when we found Fairport, because we had to make our own. And we're a New York State farm distillery.
Yep.
But anyway, it was.
So when you think about it, ZZ Top now has their own whiskey.
Yeah.
But they don't make it. They didn't do that.
No.
They didn't go to find a chicken. What did you have?
A chicken smoker.
A chicken smoker. Nobody did that.
He partnered with somebody. I wish he would have partnered with us.
Did you try?
I put it past him, and then we were supposed to talk about it, and then that other thing came out. But he's an interesting guy. When you're in front of him, you can talk for hours, but, you know, getting a hold of him after the fact is a little different. But he's a great guy and a talented guy. And he gave me a bottle of his tequila. So I think my next meal, I'm going to reach out to him to see if he'll do our bourbons aged in, his tequila aged in our bourbon barrels.
Ah, that'd be pretty good.
Is that a good idea?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And he's a good guy. I just don't know if he'll do it because of the bourbon thing now he's doing.
I hear you. Yeah, because he's got somebody that he does that with already.
Yeah, he's got I think it's Corsair or Balcones. I forget which one.
How satisfying was it for you to have Fortune magazine call you one of the best bourbons outside of Kentucky? Can I read what they wrote?
Yeah.
The Iron Smoke Distillery smokes its grains over applewood before using them in distillation. The process results in a bourbon that doesn't have a sweet, syrupy notes expected from the category. Instead, on the palate, abundant spice and smoke join in, bringing to mind char-grilled peppered meat covered in maple syrup. A must-try for those who are delving into bourbon but have a hard time with the sweetness found in most expressions.
It's crazy.
Well, that had to be, like, I don't know. Is that the kind of the crown jewel for you to go, hey, we're I mean, not that you didn't have markers along the way to show this is going well, but what an honor.
Yeah, super high ratings we got from Bill Murray's Whiskey Bible out of the UK, but 95.5 put us ahead of Buffalo Trace, Blanton's, Basil Hayden, Pappy Rye. And I'm not saying this other guy said he rated us higher, but that was a game changer for the real connoisseurs of bourbons globally. Yeah. And then the thing with the 10 best bourbons beyond Kentucky from Forbes magazine. This isn't stuff we're paying for an ad.
Forbes. I'm sorry, I said Fortune. It is Forbes.
Yeah, Forbes magazine. But this isn't stuff that we paid. Like some people do an ad and they go, "We need you to do this." It was a surprise. I was on my couch watching some Netflix binge or something, and my phone started going off. And one of my business partners, Ron Kirshner, I think he was in the first. He goes, "Is this real?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's really. They did it." Like, call us,
wow.
You know, so it was legit. And it was those things are game changers, because you can you think your baby's beautiful, but
yeah, right.
until like somebody else goes,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. That's funny because then on the other side, you've become like a big supporter of local music, another love of yours.
Yep.
It's like you've taken two things that just kind of go well together, right? The bourbon making, it's almost a like you're you're creating and orchestrating, and then you got that. Do you ever miss though? I mean, I know you got a lovely supportive wife, a great business going, but do you ever miss the 30,000 people screaming, when you're playing modern English? You do a little bit?
I mean, the more they try and throw me off the boat, the more I hang on to the side, and somebody else is like, did you ever think about giving up? I'm like, do you ever think about giving up sex? No.
Yeah, right.
I'm not, I'll still play, but I don't have to tour. I don't have to do that.
Right.
And I'd love, it sounds fun.
Yeah.
Like Alvio Fernandez.
Yep.
He's got to be always with his family. When you got a family and everything, and you got to do that.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
Right.
I can pick and choose. Like I did a couple, like a Harley Davidson event in Orlando.
Okay.
Over the winter or whatever, and fly in, fly out, in 2 or 3 dates here and there. That's about it.
How do people find you to book those things? Just through the website and stuff?
Yeah, it's a combination of just like, maybe they like the song I Like Beer.
Yeah.
Or
that's
whatever.
a great song.
Or they're a fan of modern English, or they're a fan of Iron Smoke, and they want me to be there. And everything's intertwined now.
Yeah.
My whole story and what I do.
It's your lifestyle. And that's what I dig about it. It's like you walk into your place and it's just got a cool vibe. The people that you hired are all cool people. You never see an asshole.
We have a zero asshole policy on both sides both sides of the bar, the customers and.
Well, why do you let Mal Connery in there then? Because
that just comes with the territory. He was the first guy to walk in when we were doing we're going to open up our tasting room.
Yeah,
and he goes, "This is amazing. This is going to be great for Fairport."
Yeah,
he was all about it.
Yeah, he
was the first one and probably only one in the beginning that saw what it could be.
Yeah.
When he saw our I'm like, we're going to do our own burlesque shows. We're going to produce. We're going to, with our friends, we're going to do concerts. We're going to do endless community events for fundraisers, whatever we need to do and it's going to be part of the brand. So it's not just a bar. It's an extension of like goodwill and fun times.
It is.
Hopefully people will feel safe when they're there.
The music is always good. The acoustics in there are great. The way you've done it all. It's kept that rustic kind of look, which I love.
Yeah, I think that was the only time I got mad was someone was painting over some stuff, and I'm like, no, we talked about this.
Yeah,
and I'm lucky enough fortunate enough to have people that believe in the vision and help me with that vision and got it.
Yeah,
because some people are like, well, we got to sandblast everything and make it clean. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
you want that bombed out Moulin Rouge,
Yeah. Oh, it fits. It fits everything. It fits the label of the bottles. It fits it all. That's it. It's incredible, man. You've got it. What a ride, Tommy. What a flipping ride. You got to write a book or something.
Yeah.
You know what someone needs to do? A documentary about you.
Oh, geez.
That would be fascinating.
It'd be funny. I don't know but there's so much on the way to, it's kind of like dancing between the raindrops, it's just, you got to keep dancing on. But I don't know, man. With all thanks. That's humbling, and I said,
well, I'm serious. I've always been like, I'm telling you, I've wanted to do this with you because I knew if you scratch the surface, there's a lot of layers to this guy.
Oh, there's so many more stories.
I'm sure. I would love to have you back sometime.
I'm trying to stop myself from going, oh yeah, and then
see, that'd be awesome. See, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Anybody doing Universal Buzz Radio at all?
No, we people still want those shirts. The guy from Ween loves the shirts, and a couple other guys are like, it's a space boy. I always wanted to be an astronaut, so I made the logo, a kid in a space helmet for Universal Buzz, and we just built a brand.
I remember seeing Universal Buzz stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it started on BER here.
Yeah,
and then that's pretty much how I met Jen, like my wife. Through the radio program.
Okay.
I make up a story. We'll talk about that later. When I'm traveling, I got a great made up story. They're like, really? And the more I talk about it, they go, really? No. But you got to have fun with people. I'm like, yeah, no.
Did you meet was there ever anybody who you really wanted to meet and then you met them and it was just really disappointing? Any rock stars or anything? You seem to have a vibe about you that they're very open and accepting of you. But sometimes which I always think is a great thing because, like you meet your hero and you remember what they were wearing, what they said, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then if they blow you off, that's a big moment for people that can be. But it doesn't sound like you had that at all. No, that's good. That's good, man.
I've seen them treat people badly around me, and that's a turnoff. Like, away from me, I'm like, not to me, but to somebody else. And I'm like, man, like Gene Simmons, for instance, always stops and listens and says hello. If they're like, I've been a big fan my whole life. I've seen him do it. He did it to me before. He always stops and says, thank you.
See, I was never a Kiss fan. I interviewed him once. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's a brilliant marketing guy, but he also knows
just nice and
that it's because of the Kiss Army.
He does, and really intelligent. Some woman called up and spoke Hungarian to him, and he answered her.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, man, he was a guy who doesn't disappoint at all, and I think shocks people.
It was weird. Well, at Sundance, I used to have to play for E! Entertainment for the celebrities, so. Dennis Quaid, I had to tell Timothy Hutton he had to sit out one song because he wanted to play drums again. But my job was to get the celebrities to play for E! Entertainment. And it was Getty Images, so all the celebrities had to go there. It was like a 3-story gifting house.
Okay.
And Park City.
Yeah. And on Main Street?
Yeah. And everybody I played with was cool. Like, The Edge gave me his guitar to play. Like, he used this sherbet-looking one. Matt Sorum sat in on drums. It was Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite. He plays harmonica. One time I got a call. They go, the Hobbits want you to come back to the gifting house. And there's after hours. And I'm like, all right. I thought it was a band. And it was actually Elijah Wood and the Hobbits that wanted to. And we stole a bottle of vodka from the vodka booth or whatever and played music all night.
How did you get that gig with Sundance?
It was weird. It was like through Gibson. Yeah, an endorsement, and through some friends that had friends out in Park City that I knew, and it all just came together.
Because there was a guy in Park City. His name was Rich Wyman, and Rich, when I lived there, it was '93, and he would play all the bars and stuff, and he was really trying to make it. And Valerie Bertinelli's brother lived there, was a good friend, and Eddie Van Halen came out, saw him, and funded the record and everything. But I don't think it ever went anywhere for this poor guy. Mm-hmm. And then I was backstage at a Van Halen concert, and I said, Eddie, do you know Rich Wyman? And we talked for like 10 minutes about Rich. He loved him. He goes, he's a great piano player, all this stuff, and he played all over Park City. But I bet he would die to get gigs like that. He never got it.
I met Valerie Bertinelli at a bar in Park City during Sundance, and I was like, what was she doing? Because she wasn't really doing much back then. It wouldn't make sense now. I didn't really...
Yeah, her brother lived in Old Park City. Did you ever go down into Old Park City? Yeah. So he lived in Old Park City.
She's a sweetheart, man. Did you meet her?
No, I never did. I didn't. I met the brother, but that was it.
She's super sweet. But
yeah. So what's next now for Iron Smoke?
Just making the best bourbon we can, you know, and growing. We got a 5X growth plan right now. We got a grant from the state.
Okay.
We need to make more bourbon. It doesn't come out of the faucets, and we make everything there.
Yeah.
So we don't put filler in. We make it all for the Iron Smoke line.
And everything's locally sourced. When we say New York State Farm Distillery, it's all from our region.
Yep.
Yeah.
Farmer Russ, right down here in Williamson. He grows our wheat and corn. We go out there and visit him. You know, it's truly a really great farm distillery, great vibe. We're part of the New York State Distillers Guild. But next for us is the making sure we can make more as we grow.
Yeah.
And then we're having a bourbon festival in October.
I saw that.
20th and 21st. It's going to be music, culture, and bourbon. It's called Hoochie-Nanny.
Hoochie-Nanny.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're working with the guys that work with Bonnaroo out of Louisville.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and build a franchise out of it and have some fun and promote tourism to the Finger Lakes.
It's a nice time of the year to do it, too.
Yeah, the fall.
It's a great time.
The idea of like having the fall and the harvest season, which is super important to, makers, bourbon makers and spirits makers. But that's going to be a ripper.
Yeah, I want to come down and do the podcast there.
Do it. Yeah.
I really would. I would love to.
It'll be great.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for your time, man. I don't know what your days are like. I think they get a little crazy with everything.
Yeah, thankful I'm busy.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. Do you mind if I close with this again?
Oh, no, I love it. I never leave a wedding without playing this song.
Really?
Ever. No.
That's funny.
The guy from I was the touring guitar player. They're like, no, you're the guy.
You are.
Do you still get residuals?
I got to tell you, probably the coolest guy in Western New York, Tommy Brunett.
Oh,
Seriously. You got to just go. If you haven't been to Iron Smoke, you got to go to Iron Smoke, and you got to make it happen.
Thanks.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Crashing all around your face.